In this episode of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, we're talking Freezer Bowl. And I'm from New England. Cold weather never really bothered me. After the Freezer Bowl, cold weather bothers me a heck of a lot more than it ever did before the Freezer Bowl. I can tell you that right now. On January 3rd, 1982, the Cincinnati Bengals won their first playoff game in franchise history. It was a balmy 50 degrees. Indian summer. We beat the Buffalo Bills 28-21 that day. Who would have thought a week later, January 10th of 1982, it would be like this? The Ohio River steaming and freezing. It was unbelievable. 9 below raw temperature, 59 below wind chill. It was ridiculous. Beyond cold. I ran around for over 3 hours and never broke a sweat. Kenny Anderson was phenomenal. 2 touchdown passes. Right here, he hits tight end M.L. Harris. Interception by Bobby Kemp here. Dan Fouts suffered 2 interceptions. Bobby Kemp and Lewis Breeden got him as well. And then Kenny Anderson goes to Don Bass, another tight end, for a second touchdown pass. Kenny completed almost 2/3 of his passes. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And boy, guys love that warm bench, that heated bench. That was the first time we ever experienced that. A lot of joy as we left the football field. Pat McAnally's happy about it. So we're going to Super Bowl 16. Forrest Gregg played in the Ice Bowl against the Dallas Cowboys. He coached in the Freezer Bowl. He played and coached in the 2 coldest games in NFL history. What do I remember most about the Freezer Bowl? I remember what the week of practice was like. It was cold. And, we thought, is Forrest Gregg going to take us outside? Forrest Gregg believed in, like Vince Lombardi taught him, you practice in the weather that you're going to play in. And it was very, very chilly. There's no question about it. And we'd go out there. He didn't keep us out there long, but we got our work in. And then when we woke up that morning, we went to the hotel the night before the game. A lot of guys' cars wouldn't start the next day to get to the stadium on Sunday morning because it got to the temperatures that I talked about. 9 below raw temperature, 59 below wind chill. It was ridiculous. I'm from New England. I'm used to cold weather. That wasn't cold. That was cruel and unusual. There was no way you could even break a sweat. Ran around for 3 hours, 3.5 hours out there, and never did come close to breaking a sweat. The worst part of that game was going in at halftime, getting warmed up a little bit, adjusting to that environment, and then knowing how bad it was going to be to go back out there for the second half. Because you walk back out of that locker room door at halftime, boom, you're literally walking right into a freezer again. I remember during the course of the game, they had heated benches on the sideline for the first time ever. And I sat down on that heated bench. The defense forced a turnover. I wanted to marry that bench. I didn't want to get up off of that thing. I didn't want to go from that nice, comfortable atmosphere into that freezing weather again. So I never sat on that heated bench again. All I did was put a parka on for whatever reason, trying to cut some of the wind, and stayed pretty far away from the heated bench and just got a little bit of the blower. But I didn't want to have that contrast, warm up a little bit and then have to freeze again. But it was just unbelievable. The officials that day, they ruled that we could put Vaseline on exposed skin, face, hands, that sort of thing. Well, I decided I was playing against a grabber, Gary Big Hands Johnson, aptly named. Big, strong, powerful hands. His big move, get up the football field, grab cloth, pull. Try to pull you right out of your shoes. I thought, well, I'm not going to let him have an extra sleeve on my arm that he can grab and pull easier. I'm going to try to go sleeveless. And if they say we can wear Vaseline, I'm putting Vaseline on my arms. So the officials looked at it in warm-ups, and said, I'm not sure about that. I said, it's exposed skin, Vaseline on the arms. It's okay in this thing. Because they were thinking about canceling the game. The NFL darn near called the game off and postponed it for a few days because of the weather. So they let us play with Vaseline on the exposed skin. And I remember the very first pass rush against Big Hands, I set and he comes upfield with the big swat. He hits that arm and it stung, boy. It was because it's so cold. It stung like crazy, but he slipped right off of that thing. And I thought, this might work. This is going to work pretty well. So that was something I remember vividly. but it was so cold, the Vaseline coagulated. The Vaseline, you couldn't manipulate it anymore. It was like impossible to move. It was such a crazy day. That wind was blowing off that Ohio River so hard. When the kickers kicked into the wind, I mean, it would just knock the ball down. I mean, they had no chance to make any kind of a field goal. Ralph Benershka struggled with the wind conditions. Jim Breech did a heck of a job. Breech hit a couple of field goals that were big in that football game. We had a fake field goal. Steve Kreider scored a touchdown on a fake field goal. We had a penalty. It was called back. We had to settle for a field goal, or it would have been 31-7. We beat them 27-7. Kenny Anderson throws 2 touchdown passes. I mean, it was a heck of a performance by him. Dan Fouts struggled. Dan Fouts threw a couple of interceptions. He didn't have as big a hand as Kenny. Kenny from Batavia, Illinois, was used to the cold, but again, not cruel, unusual cold. And he had a big hand, so he controlled the football a little bit better than Dan Fouts did. There were 4 Hall of Famers in that football game. Anthony Munoz being the one for the Cincinnati Bengals as a player, and then also the 3 for the Chargers. Fouts, Charlie Joyner, who played with the Bengals and Chargers, and Kellen Winslow. So they had 3 Hall of Famers. We only had 1, but we had one, a quarterback that should be in the Hall of Fame. And Kenny Anderson outplayed Hall of Famer Dan Fouts in that football game. That was a big reason we won the Freeze Bowl and moved on. First AFC Championship ever, the Cincinnati Bengals, and moved on to Super Bowl 16, first appearance in the Super Bowl. So that 1981 team had a lot of firsts. First playoff victory against Buffalo, AFC Championship against the Chargers, came up short in the Super Bowl against the 49ers and Joe Montana. Still can't get over it.